Hello and welcome back to the Linux Panic YouTube channel. This is video 5 of my Linux from scratch stable LFS version 11.2. When we left off in the previous video, we had just finished entering the Churu environment and gone through the setup process and compiled a few more tools. And now we're moving on to chapter 8, which is all of these packages that need to be compiled and tested and installed. Now, because of how long this could take, I will run this as a time lapse so as to not waste your time and making you sit around for however long it's going to take. So the first package we have here is the manual pages. The package management section of this chapter just explains how you could manage your packages, such as it's all in your head so you know where all your packages are, separate directories, symlink style packaging and timestamp based, tracing installations, package archives, user-based management, and deploying LFS on multiple systems. But because in this case we're just building the packages, for now, let's get into it. So you need to go to sources, do LSLA, you're going to CD LFS, so as we can see here, we're going to CD into sources, and we have all the packages we have here. So we need to clear the screen. We need to clear the screen. There we go. We need to open the extract directory. So this is the manual pages. It's 2200 manual pages, so this might take a bit of time. So tar_xvf man pages. It did not take as long, never mind. Now we've got the manual pages. We want to CD into the manual pages and then just install it with the following. And then it'll be moving on to the next one. So I'll start the time lapse once we start compiling the makefile for glibc. So this one is IANA. This is just the data and networking stuff, so basic stuff that's needed. So we need to remove the man pages directory, and we need to extract the IANA, CD into IANA, copy the services protocols to etc, leave the directory, remove the directory, and then extract glibc .tar_xz, CD into glibc, and then we want to issue the patch command, so it patches it, enter the build directory, make sure that things are installed into the correct place, and it's now time to start the configuration. So I will return once we are at the end of chapter 8. Hello there. So there is a item of note worth mentioning. This is not the only section of, after you've completed your checks, some software packages may have an additional configuration option. Now in this case for glibc, it's just your dynamic loaders, or if desired you can add dynamic loaders, time zones, locales, time zone data, and the such. So it is worth paying attention and actually finishing the things correctly, because otherwise if you don't, you may end up in a situation where things don't work in the final system. So it is definitely worth paying attention to and getting it done properly. Anyway, we shall resume with the time lapse. And now that we are finally at the end of chapter 8, we only have one package left to do, and that is sysvinit. What we want to do is we want to extract sysvinit .tar.xz, cd into sysvinit, and we need to apply the patch, and get it to make compile, and then install it. There we are. That is the entirety of chapter 8 complete. Now we'll be moving on to chapter 9 next, just going through the process of getting everything done. That's fine. So debugging symbols is just going through the process of explaining most programs and libraries are by default compiled with debugging symbols included with GCC's G option, which means when debugging program or library that was compiled with debugging information, the debugger can provide not only memory addresses but also names of routines and variables. So just giving you more verbose information about debugging, which is good. So now we're going to move on to stripping. This section is optional. It is intended if the user is not a programmer and does not need to do any debugging on system software. System size can be decreased by removing 2 gigs of debugging software, the unneeded symbol table entry, binaries, and so this is just removing a load of debugging information if we want to remove it, but in this case I'm not going to. And let's finally clean up some files. So we want to do rm-rf /tmp/*, removes all of them. There are also several files installed in userlib and userlib execute directories with the file extension .la or libtool archives. As already said, they are only useful when linking static libraries, are unneeded and potentially harmful when dynamic libraries, and when not using auto tools to build systems, remove them and run that. The compiler built in chapter 6 and 7 is still partially installed and not needed anymore, so we can do that by removing this. And finally, remove the tester user. We don't need that. And that's it. In the next video, we'll be looking at chapter 9 and preparing the system for booting up. Anyway, I'd like to thank you very much for watching. I have been Nick, you have been amazing, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. Goodbye.